I think some of the turnover is contributed to people really not believing in themselves. People are used to working in jobs and having a structured environment and someone telling them what to do, and a lot of people aren't cut out for being in business for themselves and being an independent contractor.
I mean, after you get through your hell week, the second week is pretty tough. You know, you're on your own. It's your first week really out there in the field, and I just don't think they're disciplined enough. If you can get through it, you know, the first 2 weeks, it's easy. I mean, to me, it's a very easy job. As long as you're disciplined, you can do it. Anybody can do it.
I think, again, this goes back to the fear and intimidation factor. I think a lot of them get in here and realize that it's not as easy as it looks. It sounds easy. Being able to spend the day hanging out at the mall and the amusement parks, it sounds like a fun job, and it is a fun job, but it sounds a lot easier than it is. This is not an easy job. It's hard work. And I think that because of the nature of the job itself, it might tend to attract people who want to do something that's easy. Mm-hmm. And when they get in here and realize it's not easy, they'll eliminate themselves.
It does take a while to get comfortable with this job, and with approaching a stranger on the street, it's not something that everyone can do. On top of that, it is something that you have to learn to be self-motivated. You have to be able to get up in the morning and set a schedule for yourself and go out and achieve your goals for the day. And a lot of people may get off to a good start and just, you know, drizzle out during the day, or they may never even get out of bed, which again just goes back to self-motivation.
I met a girl, she and I actually developed the concept of a buddy system. Until I got my first paycheck, I needed that motivation from her. So she and I kept each other motivated. But let me tell you, when I got that first paycheck, that's what kept me motivated afterward.
For people who just come in for a week and it didn't work out for them because they weren't willing to try, and then they go out and talk about what a bad job experience they had, but they didn't give it enough time to actually work out for them.
They definitely have to be very confident, and I guess the reason that they leave is because they don't have the confidence and the motivation to do that, and also the knowledge. I mean, knowledge is power, and power is knowledge, and that's what's gonna, I believe, that's what's gonna bring you success. You know, as a scout, is the more you know, the more powerful that is, the more it's gonna work for you, because the more information you can give somebody else that doesn't know anything about this industry, then definitely that's going to benefit you as well as them too, because then they know exactly what they're getting into. And people like to know the truth. They don't like to be mamsy-pamsied around. That's my personal experience being a scout here with options, and that all the people that I've dealt with.
People probably think that it's a lot easier than what it is, and they don't perceive that there are things they need to get under their belt, you know, and hone down some of their skills, rather than just going out and kind of having a party, you know, and looking at pretty people and inviting them in and, you know, getting paid for that.
Well, I think that being a successful scout, one really needs to be credible in their presentation to potential models, and they have to be selective enough to, when talking to someone, that the person that they're talking to has to believe that they're in fact a potential model.
You got to stay motivated. You got to be very disciplined to do it. If they've got a schedule, they know what they're going to do, plan out your day ahead of time, know your events, know your city, get on the internet, and get to where all the people are, because that's where you're going to stay motivated, and people motivate people. And my advice would be, you know, get a scouting partner, hook up with someone that you like, and have fun with it.
I think if you set goals, what I do every day is I sit down and I count out the number of cards that I want to, the number of people I want to scout, and I don't stop until I'm done. And you know, when you're having a rough day, and you know you feel the temptation to quit, maybe it's time to stop, have a cup of coffee, relax, and refocus, and open up that purse and see how many cards you have left in there, and then just go out and start all over again like it's a brand new day.
Belief.
I think I have a firm belief in the way this company works. I think that you have to believe in it to be a successful scout. If you don't believe it, you're not going to convince anyone else of its success. And I've seen the success in my own, watching models that I've actually scouted just make it, a step at a time, or sometimes just a big leap. And I think if you have that strong belief, you can combat that. There's, I think, some kind of negative connotation to anything in the modeling industry. And that's something that we have to defeat. It's a barrier that's put up against us that we have to work through and work past on a daily basis. But I think in order to combat that, in order to be discouraged from that, what I do is, anyone that has negative feeling about our company, I put it out there. I address the situation. And I try to explain why it was that happened. And most of the time, the feedback that I get from that is actually very positive. Anyone that usually had some kind of negativity was either misinformed or didn't even come through. And so they didn't get to see it for themselves. And so by addressing that and prodding around and seeing where that takes you, I really feel that in the end, people walk away very happy.
It's really hard to be confident when you're going out trying to scout someone if they're to ask you a question about the company and you really don't know the answer. If you know the answer and you can provide them with more information, obviously they're gonna look at you in a more positive light and trust you and trust your judgment that you aren't one of the millions of scams that are out there. So I think that is one of the really important things for them to gain confidence when they're approaching people, to actually for them to feel and to know that they know what they're talking about.
Once one is entrenched into the idea of a vision, where this company is going and the direction that we're on the verge of something very great, then I think there should be no problem with that motivation and realizing the money that one wants to earn.
No matter who you are, you're always going to get negative feedback. I've talked to people who have been scouted by Ford and Elite and have turned them down because they didn't know about them. They didn't feel they were a reputable company. And the way I figure it, if Ford and Elite are being turned down because people are afraid of mishaps in the industry, then it's going to happen to anybody. And the other thing is, I just like to keep in perspective that while a few people are going to be uninterested, it is more than made up for by the people who are interested.
This is the best job that I have ever heard of, and that they need to do whatever they have to do to make it work. I love to tell people about my job now because I don't think that you can beat it. I don't think that any other job could be like this. It's flexible, you get to be outside, you get to meet new and interesting people all the time. What other job can you do that with? And I just like to be able to go over the benefits of the job, explain to them how wonderful it is, maybe encourage them to keep going.